All right, so new entrepreneurs, let's dive into something I know you guys are all dealing with, feeling overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
You're juggling like a million things at once, right?
Yes.
From funding
Yeah.
and product development
Right.
to marketing and who even knows what else, right?
Hmm.
And the thing is, it's not just about having a ton to do.
Yeah.
It's about managing all those commitments effectively.
Yeah.
And that's where David Allen's Getting Things Done comes in, or GTD as they call it.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack GTD's core principles, and I've got an expert here with us to help us tailor it
Right.
specifically to your journey as a new entrepreneur.
Awesome.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So glad you're here.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating system because Alan recognized something that's even more true today than it was back when he first wrote the book.
Oh, yeah?
We live in a world of just constant information overload.
Oh, I know.
Just think about how much you've had to process in just the past few days, like emails, messages, news ideas.
Ugh, it's a lot.
It's a lot to keep track of.
Absolutely.
Especially,
And for somebody just starting out, like building a business from the ground up,
oh my gosh,
that information overload, I mean, it can feel paralyzing.
totally.
It's like you're constantly trying to drink from a fire hose.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And Alan actually said, and this is a quote that really stuck with me, most of us have, in the past 72 hours, received more change-producing, project-creating, and priority-shifting inputs than our parents did in a month, maybe even in a year.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy to think about, right?
That's such a powerful point, and it highlights why traditional to-do lists just don't cut it anymore.
No, they don't.
They don't account for the complexity of the modern world,
Yeah.
especially for entrepreneurs who are constantly adapting and responding to new challenges and new information.
I've been there. I remember when I first started out, I had sticky notes. Like everywhere, lists scribbled on napkins, a million tabs open on my computer.
Oh, yeah.
Like my brain was about to explode.
I know, and that's the beauty of GTD. It's designed to get everything out of your head and into a system that you can trust. So you can actually focus on the work that matters. The core principle here is that stress often stems from mismanaged commitments,
Okay.
not just having too many.
So it's not about doing less. It's about doing the right things.
Exactly.
And doing them effectively. But what does that even look like in practice? How do we actually start managing those commitments?
So Alan breaks it down into 5 key steps.
Okay.
Capture, clarify, organize, reflect, and engage.
Okay.
Think of it as a journey towards achieving that elusive state of relaxed control as you build your business.
Okay. I love a good journey analogy.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning, capture.
Okay.
What exactly are we capturing and how do we do it?
Capture is all about getting everything out of your head and onto something external.
Okay.
This could be anything from that brilliant business idea you had in the shower to a nagging reminder to update your website.
So it's not just about big tasks or projects. It's about those fleeting thoughts and ideas
Yes.
that we tend to lose if we don't write them down. Yeah. What I find really helpful is having a designated notebook or app specifically for my business. I literally call it my entrepreneur brain dump.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
And the key here is to be comprehensive. Don't censor yourself, don't judge, just get it all out. Think of it as decluttering your mind,
Yeah.
making space for clarity and focus.
So once we've captured all this stuff,
Yeah.
what do we even do with it? It's probably still a pretty chaotic mess, right?
That's where step 2 comes in, clarify.
Okay.
Now we need to take all those captured items and turn them into concrete outcomes and actionable next steps.
So instead of having a vague note that says launch marketing campaign, I need to clarify that into something more specific and actionable.
Exactly. You might break it down into smaller steps like research target audience or create a marketing budget or design a landing page.
Okay, so clarify is about turning those vague ideas into a concrete plan.
Yes.
But I imagine even with clear next steps, it can still feel overwhelming to keep track of everything, especially when you're juggling all the different aspects of a new business.
That's where step 3 comes in, organize.
Okay.
And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs, even experienced ones, trip up.
What are some of the common pitfalls that you see in this stage?
Well, many people try to rely on their memory or scattered notes,
Oh, yeah?
which inevitably leads to things slipping through the cracks.
Right.
Alan emphasizes the importance of having a well-structured system for organizing all those clarified actions and projects.
So what does a good GTD organization system even look like for somebody launching a business?
It really depends on your personal preferences and how your brain works.
Okay.
Some people thrive on digital tools like Asana or Trello,
Mm-hmm.
which allow you to create boards, lists, and deadlines for different projects. Others prefer a more tactile approach with notebooks, folders, and color-coded sticky notes. The key is to find a system that you can trust and that allows you to easily access the information you need when you need it.
So it's not about finding the perfect system. It's about finding what works best for you.
Exactly. And a good system will not only help you keep track of your tasks and projects,
Yeah.
but it will also give you a sense of control and clarity over your entire business.
I'm already starting to feel a little less overwhelmed just thinking about it.
I know, right?
So we've captured our ideas, clarified our next steps, and organized everything into a system. What's the next step in our GTD journey?
Now we come to a step that a lot of people overlook, but it's absolutely crucial, especially for entrepreneurs. Reflect.
Reflect. I get why it's important to reflect on my business strategy or like market trends, but what does that even mean in the context of GTD?
Think of it as regularly checking in with your system to make sure it's still serving you and keeping you on track.
Okay.
Alan calls this the weekly review.
Okay.
And it's a game changer for maintaining that sense of control we talked about.
Okay, so it's like a weekly audit of my GTD system.
Yeah,
But what exactly am I reviewing?
everything. You'll look at your calendar for the upcoming week, review your project lists, clear out any completed tasks, and make sure nothing has fallen through the cracks.
So it's not just about checking things off a list. It's about making sure my system is still aligned with my goals and priorities.
Exactly. As a new entrepreneur, things are constantly changing, and your priorities might shift from week to week. The weekly review helps you stay flexible and adapt your system accordingly.
I'm starting to see how this could be really helpful for avoiding that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You're constantly course correcting and making sure you're still heading in the right direction.
Precisely. And it's during this reflection stage that you can also incorporate any new information or insights you've gained. Maybe you attended a conference or read an article or had a conversation that sparked a new idea. The weekly review is the perfect time to integrate those insights into your system.
So it's like hitting the refresh button on your entire business and mindset every week.
Yeah.
I could definitely see the value in that.
Yeah.
So we've captured our ideas, clarified our next steps, organized everything into a system, and reflected on it all.
Yeah.
Now we get to the most exciting step.
Engage.
This is where we actually get to do the work right. But how does engaging in GTD differ from just like diving into my to-do list?
It's about being intentional and making conscious choices about how you spend your time and energy. Alan provides a really powerful framework for making those decisions in the moment called the 4 criteria model.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this 4 criteria model.
It's actually pretty simple. First, you consider your context.
Okay.
Where are you? What tools do you have available?
So if I'm at my desk with my computer, I might tackle tasks that require internet access or specific software. But if I'm on the go, I might focus on things I can do from my phone, like making calls or brainstorming ideas.
Exactly. Then you factor in the time available. Do you have 5 minutes before a meeting or a couple of hours of uninterrupted focus time?
This is making me realize how often I try to squeeze in these complex tasks when I only have like a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then I just end up feeling frustrated and unproductive.
It happens to the best of us. And that's why this model is so helpful. It encourages you to be realistic about your time constraints.
Okay, so we've considered context and time. What are the other 2 criteria?
Next is your energy level. Are you feeling energized and focused or drained and distracted?
So if I'm feeling super productive, I might tackle that challenging task that requires a lot of brain power. But if I'm feeling mentally exhausted, I might choose something more mindless, like organizing my files or responding to emails.
Precisely. It's about working with your energy levels rather than against them.
I like that.
And finally, you consider priority.
But isn't priority always the most important factor?
It's definitely important, but it's not the only factor. By considering context, time, and energy first, you're actually able to make more informed decisions about your priorities.
This is like having a productivity roadmap,
Yes.
guiding me through each step of the process.
Exactly.
I'm curious, you mentioned something earlier about next actions.
Yeah.
What are those and why are they so important?
Next actions are the heart of GTD. It's about identifying the very next physical step you need to take for each item on your list.
So instead of just having write blog post on my list, I'd break it down into smaller, more actionable steps like open Google Docs and create a new document or research relevant keywords.
Exactly, because write blog posts is still a bit vague and overwhelming.
Right.
But when you define the very next action, it removes that mental friction of starting.
Oh, yeah.
It's much easier to take action when you know exactly what that action is.
That makes so much sense. It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yes.
And sometimes the hardest part is just taking that first step.
Alan actually said something similar, and I think it's worth repeating here. Thinking and deciding require energy. And when you notice something unfinished in your world, but haven't determined what the next action is yet, you'll tend to be reminded of your fatigue and sense of being overwhelmed.
Wow, that really resonates with me. I can't tell you how many times I felt paralyzed by a task just because I hadn't defined the next action. But once I break it down into those smaller steps, it feels so much more manageable.
Exactly. And that feeling of manageability is key to overcoming procrastination and building momentum.
Okay, so we've covered the 5 steps of GTD and the importance of defining next actions. But I'm also curious how the system can help with the bigger picture strategic thinking that's so crucial for entrepreneurs. It seems like GTD is mostly focused on managing tasks and to-dos.
That's a great question. And you're right, GTD is often associated with task management. But it can also be a powerful tool for defining your business purpose, your long-term vision, and even your core principles.
Now that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
How does GTD help with those bigger picture aspects of entrepreneurship?
Allen introduces a concept called the natural planning model. It's a 5-phase approach that takes you from a vague idea to a clear, actionable plan. And it's incredibly useful for entrepreneurs, whether you're mapping out your overall business strategy or just planning a product launch.
Okay, I'm ready to get strategic. Break it down for me. What are these 5 phases?
The first phase is defining your purpose. Why are you doing this? What's the deeper motivation behind your business?
So for me, the purpose behind this podcast is to help people learn and grow. I want to create a space where they can explore new ideas, gain new perspectives, and ultimately become more well-rounded individuals.
That's a great example. And having a clearly defined purpose will guide all of your decisions and actions moving forward. Like having a North Star for your business.
It's like having a mission statement, but even more personal and meaningful.
Exactly. Once you have a clear purpose, you move on to the second phase, visioning. This is where you paint a vivid picture of what success would look like.
So if my purpose is to help people learn and grow, my vision might be to create a podcast that reaches millions of listeners worldwide, sparking meaningful conversations and inspiring positive change.
That's a powerful vision.
Yeah.
The key here is to be as specific and sensory-rich as possible. Imagine what it would feel like to achieve that vision. What would you see, hear, and experience?
I love that. It's almost like creating a vision board, but for my entire business.
Exactly. And the more vivid and detailed your vision, the more motivating it will be. Now, the third phase is brainstorming. This is where you let those creative juices flow.
So I start generating ideas for how to achieve that vision. Different podcast formats, marketing strategies, potential guests, anything and everything that comes to mind.
And remember, this is a brainstorming session, so don't censor yourself. No idea is too crazy or outlandish at this stage. Just get it all out.
It's about quantity over quality at this point.
Exactly. You're casting a wide net, gathering as many potential solutions and ideas as possible. Once you have a good collection of ideas, you move on to the fourth phase, organizing.
Okay, so this is where we start making sense of all those brainstormed ideas and figuring out which ones are worth pursuing.
You might group similar ideas together, prioritize them based on their potential impact, and start seeing patterns or connections emerge.
It's like putting together a puzzle where each brainstormed idea is a piece. And as you start fitting those pieces together, you get a clearer picture of what your plan should look like.
Exactly. And finally, you arrive at the fifth and most crucial phase, identifying next actions.
So we're back to those specific actionable steps. But this time, they're informed by our purpose, vision, and brainstormed ideas.
Precisely. For example, if one of your brainstormed ideas was to collaborate with other podcasters, your next action might be to research potential collaborators and create a list of people to reach out to.
That's a perfect example. It's taking that big abstract idea and turning it into a concrete, actionable step. I'm starting to see how powerful this natural planning model can be, not just for developing a business strategy, but for tackling any complex project.
It's a game changer for anyone who feels overwhelmed by possibilities.
Yeah.
It helps you move from that state of chaos and overwhelm to having a clear roadmap for achieving your goals.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
Glad to hear it.
It's like I have a whole new toolkit for managing my time, my projects, and even my overall business strategy.
I love that.
And remember, this is just the beginning of your journey.
Oh, yeah.
As you become more familiar with GTD, you'll find ways to tailor it to your specific needs and style. The key is to keep experimenting, keep reflecting, and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is a journey. And one of the most valuable aspects of GTD is that it helps you become more mindful and intentional in how you approach your work and your life.
It's not just about doing more.
Right.
It's about doing the right things with less stress and less overwhelm. It's
Yes.
almost like GTD gives you permission to slow down,
Yes.
to like think things through, and to make conscious choices about where you're focusing your energy.
That's a great point. It's about working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And when you have that sense of control and clarity,
Yeah.
it frees up mental space for creativity, innovation, and even just enjoying the process of building your business.
I think that's something a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, myself included.
Oh, for sure.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and grind,
Totally.
to feel like you always need to be doing more,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately that can lead to burnout and resentment.
Absolutely. GTD is not about becoming a productivity robot.
No.
It's about creating a system that supports your well-being and allows you to thrive both personally and professionally.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like I'm finally starting to understand how to manage the chaos of entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and actually get things done without losing my mind.
I know, right?
So what's the one thing our listeners, all you amazing new entrepreneurs out there, can do today to start applying GTD? Even just one small step to get the ball rolling.
If I had to choose one thing, I'd say pick one area of your business where you feel the most overwhelmed.
Okay.
Maybe it's your inbox or a project that's stalled or just the sheer volume of ideas swirling around in your head.
Yeah.
Then just choose one GTD principle to apply to that area.
Okay, so if it's my overflowing inbox, I might commit to doing like a 15-minute capture session
Yeah.
at the end of each day,
Perfect.
getting everything out of my head and into my email management system.
That's a great example.
Okay.
Or if it's a project that's feeling stuck, you could spend 20 minutes clarifying the desired outcome and defining the very next action. Remember, it's about taking those small steps, building momentum, and celebrating the wins along the way.
Small steps lead to big changes.
Exactly.
I love that. You've given us so much to think about today. As a new entrepreneur, it's so easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But remember, you're not alone. GTD can be a powerful tool for achieving your goals and enjoying the incredible journey of building something from the ground up.
Absolutely. It's an amazing journey, and I'm so glad we could share some insights with you today.
And we're so glad to have you here with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Now go out there and get things done,
Yes.
but do it mindfully, intentionally, and with a sense of relaxed control.